Hello, welcome to the Faith Together podcast, sponsored by the Center for Faith and Family at Olivet Nazarene University. Thank you for joining us today. I am Leon, and I am with my good friend Lindsey. I'm so glad you're here, Lindsey.
Thanks, Leon. Good to be here.
Yeah. Boy, this has been a great season. And today we're kind of wrapping up that season, right?
We are. Sadly, this is our final episode of the season, which means we will be back in the fall. We take a little break over the summer.
Right. And so if you're new to our podcast, we run basically the school year.
Yes.
Right. We find that's when parents are most available to kind of listen in to what we're discussing.
Right.
And so it's actually, we end a little earlier than the school year because we're really ending kind of with all of that school year.
We are. We're more on a college semester schedule, but I don't think parents mind, Leon, because May has soon become known as Maycember. Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, like May is so busy for parents with kids in school, out of school, that it feels like a second December, but in the spring.
Yeah, I know a lot of new sports are starting their seasons and that kind of thing.
Yeah, end of school parties, pop-up spirit weeks, all sorts of projects that you need to do. So I hear a lot of parents say, oh, Maycember, it's just so busy. And so, hey, maybe, you can listen back to a few podcasts you missed along the way.
Yeah, so we're going to do a little bit of review of that today.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are. So we want to just take some time to remember and celebrate. We know that God's people do that. They show us that in the book of Joshua, that they made markers of what God had done there at the Jordan River as they crossed through. And Jesus tells us to do the same, to remember what he's done. The last words he shared with his followers were,
and we get,
remember me.
Right, and we get so busy in our lives that we often forget. We just move from one thing to the next and forget to take time to go back and reflect on our experiences. So we want to kind of celebrate God's faithfulness to us in the midst of the journey we've been on.
Yeah, because we know this journey at the Center for Faith and Family and the gift of the grant that we get to steward is all because of God and because of his presence with us.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So we're in year 3 of our grant. Is that right?
It is.
It is. Wow. It's gone so fast. We're in year 3 of our 5-year grant. And as I reflect back on it, it's just amazing the things that God has allowed us to do and the different blessings he has sent our way along the journey. So we'll review some of that today because I think it's important for our listeners who have been a part of the journey with us to be able to be thankful to God for what he's done for us.
Yeah. So let's start with this season's podcast series. We've had a lot of great series this season, and I just want to review what those were. So we had 2 in the fall, 2 series, and we had 2 podcast series here in the spring. So the 2 in the fall were Page to Practice, and what that series was all about was different parenting books and bringing the authors on to discuss where their heart for the book is and what we could share with our listeners.
Right. So moving from the context of a book on concepts to how to put them to practice in everyday life.
Yeah, very, very practical tips during that series. We featured a lot of different books, but one from our friend Arlene Pelicane, who wrote Screen Kids. She also wrote Parents Rising. She was one of our guests. We didn't have Jonathan Haidt on the podcast, but we had Professor Daniel Allen from here at Olivet and talked about the anxious generation. Just some really good thoughts. And our good friend, Rich Griffith, who wrote a book on voices in young people's lives. And you'll be able to see Rich soon at a ministry conference.
Yes, later this week, in fact.
Yes, that's right. So just some really good practical tools and books that you can check out if you're interested in that. And so that was our first series of the fall. The second series is a tradition we have every year, our Advent series.
And this is always a popular one.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I've been a little surprised by that, to be honest with you. We did our first Advent series when we started this 3 years ago. And I thought, well, how do we talk about Advent again after we've already talked about it once?
Right.
And we've gotten such good response from our Advent series that we just kept doing them. And each year we kind of took a different approach to Advent.
We did. So this year's approach was through the classic Christmas hymn, "O Holy Night," which was your favorite.
It was. Yeah.
Favorite Christmas hymn. And we went through the story using the words of "O Holy Night." And we focused on different parts of the Christmas story. We focused on Mary, Joseph, the shepherds, and the wise men. And so that was very special to approach Advent in that way. Had some wonderful guests with us, friends of the podcast from here in the community near Olivet. And then we kicked off the year this spring with a series called Shalom at Home. And that series was really focused on the Hebrew word for peace, shalom, and how we could come alongside our kids in our homes every day and have meaningful conversations and have an atmosphere of value, belonging, and worth right where our children are. So somewhat of a trauma-informed lens in that series with our friends from Reach Hurting Kids Institute.
Yeah.
Pastor Kayla Smith came with us and was just a wonderful guest for that entire series. We had a lot of great in-depth conversations about what it looks like to love our kids in those harder moments.
Right. And boy, Kayla did such a great job. And of course, we've known Kayla for quite a while.
Yes.
And she works with Dr. Robert Crosby, who wasn't able to be with us. But the organization that, name the organization again for me?
Reach Hurting Kids
Reach Hurting
Institute.
Kids, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing fabulous work. So I was thrilled that Kayla was able to be with us. And it's always good to have a friend on the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. And then our final series that we just wrapped up last week, Leon, was Everyday Faith.
Yeah, and I think probably if I had to rank them, this was my favorite series of the year.
Yeah.
Helping parents consider just those everyday moments for spiritual nurturing of their kids. I think oftentimes we get in the trap of has to be kind of a special event in order for our kids to have opportunities to make commitments to Christ. And instead, what we've discovered with some guests and some other things that we've done is that maybe the most important times are just the routines of every day, being intentional about those moments and taking advantage of them and just being aware. And I think the guests that we had with us gave us maybe a way of looking at everyday life that's new to us, at least caused us to consider things that we can do that would help our kids that we just don't think about.
That's right. We had some wonderful guests. We had at the start of that series, Tracy Smith for a couple of episodes, and Tracy wrote the book Faithful Families. It's an entire series that talks about just those everyday moments and some liturgy to go around it. So it can be a prayer, it can be a discussion question. And I really loved how she shared that all of life is spiritual. It's not just Sundays. It's not just like what you're saying, those milestones, but all of it is spiritual. Jesus is our priority, but he's also to be the center of our lives. And so every part of our lives can reflect back to him. And she gave some very practical tips on that. And then we were able to talk about, well, you know, in this series, Leon, we focused on the different days a family might be looking at, like, what does it look like on an ordinary day? What does it look like on a special holiday to share faith?
Yep.
And we talked about game days.
Yeah, and had Ben Zobrist on the podcast, which was really cool.
Yeah, and he shared about his new ministry, Champion Forward, that helps athletes that are, starting out in their career or just starting in sports as a young person, how to have solid emotional and mental health grounded in Christ as you approach those game days. Yeah.
And so the organization Champion Forward that he's a part of is doing great work.
Yes, they really are. And then we finished up with Summer Days, which was all about, that was last week's episode with my friend Dan. Dan Lavalia reminded us that summertime is an intentional time. It's not just time off. It's an intentional time with our kids.
And I liked his focus on camp, in particular, the role that dads play in a family's life, and that the ministry that he's a part of has this great experience for dads and their sons, and I think daughters too.
Yeah,
is that right?
Dads and sons or daughters.
Yeah, and wow, what a great great way to really nurture faith in a child. We talked about the importance of camps in our own ministries
Yep.
that we've been a part of. And so having Dan on was really great.
Yeah. And he shared with us a really practical tool of road trips, taking advantage of the road trips,
Yes.
whether you're going to camp on a road trip or you're just taking a summer road trip as a family, how to be intentional, the spiritual power of road trips.
Yeah, and if you didn't hear that episode, as you get close to summer, we encourage you to go back and listen to that particular episode. You can find it on our website at centerff.com. You can also find it on our YouTube channel, just to
It's all
plug there.
Yeah.
So, taking advantage of those road trips in the summer, which can, road trips can be hard on families. We're headed 6 or 7 hours to see grandma or to go to a special place for a special event. And the trip getting there can be kind of brutal sometimes, with kids yelling and screaming and fighting and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that Dan helped us with was things that we can be intentional about and really making those spiritual moments for our kids.
Right. So it's a fantastic episode and a fantastic series. I can see why it was your favorite.
Yeah, it was.
As for me, when I look back on this season, I think I didn't so much have a favorite series. I really enjoyed all of them equally, but I did have a favorite episode. And that episode was with Dr. Jeremiah Cho.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember that, Leon?
I do remember that.
Yeah. So he was a featured guest at Page to Practice, the series about the different authors and their books on parenting. And Dr. Jeremiah Cho wrote a book called The Good Shepherd, which is all about following Jesus. My Good Shepherd is what it's called. And it comes from his heart with his experience in Child Evangelism Fellowship, an organization that disciples children all over the world.
And he's actually the president, is that correct? Of
Yes.
Child Evangelism Fellowship?
Yes. And just getting to hear his testimony, his heart for children to know who Christ is, I will never forget it. It was so impactful. It inspired me in my life in ministry. Sometimes, well, you know this very well, Leon. I don't need to remind you of this, but children's ministry and ministry to families, it can be tiresome because you want to really serve families well, but things are constantly changing. And so you're constantly needing to shift and learn and grow as a leader who's serving those families, let alone your own family. So there's just a lot of dynamics to that. And, fall can be very busy. And personally, I went through so many changes in my family this year. And so I was just so encouraged by Dr. Cho's words. It gave me kind of this fire to just keep going, because he was such a cheerleader and a wonderful communicator when it came to why we do what we do in children's ministry.
Yeah. And when he shared, you could hear his heart in his voice.
Yes.
The words he spoke and the way he expressed his thoughts made it very, very clear. This is not just something he does as a job, but this is what he's passionate about.
Yes. So in turn, it gave me more passion for what we get to do each and every day in serving families. So that's what I would share. I loved all of our series. Of course, I'm a Christmas girl, so I loved Advent. That was a lot of fun. And just being able to share in the season with some good friends here was a great time too.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the things that really stuck out to me this season.
What about things that took place in the center this year?
Yes.
So we were kind of busy this year.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot has happened. We took an initiative this year to be with people.
That's right.
We have done a lot of behind the scenes work of creating curriculum series, creating this podcast. And yes, we're with you, our listeners, but we don't get to see you.
That's right.
And we don't get to see all the time the people who are using our curriculum. And this year we thought, well, what if we did this? What if we reached out to area churches right here in Kankakee County and say, would you like to use our curriculum? We would love to come along and serve you and give you tips and tricks along the way if you need it. But also, we would love your feedback because we want to hear, how is this working for you?
So we did what's called in the academic world a longitudinal study, which just means it's a research program, if you want to say it that way, that takes a little bit of time. So it's not just like a one-time shot. You do it over an extended period of time. So we had 8 churches in the community that joined us for that project.
Yep.
And there were families within each of those churches that used our screen time safety curriculum that Arlene Pellicane created for us.
Right.
And then we surveyed them as a part of those studies.
Yes.
And we're getting ready. We just received kind of the ending of all of those surveys. So we're getting ready to analyze that. And then the beginning of the fall, we're going to bring those families back together and we're going to do some interviews with them and find out how much of this stuck.
Yeah,
over
did
time.
it really
Did
help?
they apply what they learned to their families when it comes to screen safety?
Yeah.
And what kind of things are they doing for their family and what habits have they created that were different than before and those kind of things. So I'm really excited about the results of that. And we're hoping that that will, one, help us do any edits to our curriculum that we need to so it's more effective for families. But also it may lead to the recognition that there's more we need to do on that front when it comes to providing resources for families to protect their kids when it comes to their screens.
Yeah. So 8 area churches, all different denominations, all different walks of life, different areas of our community, all went through screen time safety. And we were able to celebrate with those participants at a dinner a couple of weeks ago. Well, last week, actually.
That's right.
And that was really encouraging to hear what has been helpful to those families and how the experience was just face to face. So I'm grateful for all of the work that we were able to put in with networking right here in our community with what the center has to offer, and excited to hear how this has resonated with them for the future.
Yeah, so we have one church that hasn't completed the process yet. And confession, you already know this, but in the busyness of all of this, I neglected to invite the participants from my own church to come to the dinner. So I think we're probably going to have another event for those 2 churches. So sorry, friends at K1, that I didn't invite you to our special event. So we'll do something there, but that's fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So that was a really big part of our year, just networking with those ministry leaders and coming alongside the best that we could. We've also been brainstorming some new curriculum.
Yes. So I keep calling it the wrong name. Everyday Faith. I keep calling it Shalom at Home, and it's not. That's not
it's
it.
Okay.
So Everyday Faith, and that kind of came out of our podcast.
Right.
That we realized, okay, this has been so well received, and these are such important topics that we need to create a curriculum that parents can use that will help them navigate everyday faith.
Yep. And so one of our guests, Tracy Smith, who I mentioned earlier, she is an author and also minister. And she has agreed to come on board with us and help us with the Everyday Faith curriculum. So she'll be recording our videos. Tracy will be the featured guest on that curriculum's videos. And then we'll be able to write lessons that go with those videos along the way, and hope to have that finished up in the fall.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
And then as we're finishing the current research project with these 8 churches in the fall, we're also going to be starting a new research project, we hope, in the fall. And this is going to be focusing on like key spiritual moments in the life of a child. And one of the things that we have found from the preliminary research is that there's something significant about bedtime and bedtime rituals that help children connect with God in ways that they do not connect with God at other times of their day. And so we're doing some extensive research right now on that topic. Interestingly enough, nothing specific on this topic has ever been researched that we can find. So we're hoping to really do some groundbreaking research on this, and hopefully out of that, a curriculum will be created. We're probably not focusing on that until next year, until 2027, but hopefully that's coming down the road, and I'm very excited about that project.
Yeah, and we would love to add a sequel to our healthy parenting curriculum.
That's right.
We're still working out details of what that will look like, but we'd love to have a healthy parenting 2.0. Many of you know that the healthy parenting curriculum has been so helpful to parents because it focuses on mental health, emotional health, attachment, play, and soul care for you as parents. And we can't give what we don't have. And so we'd love to expand even further in that series. So more to come, lots to learn, lots to continue on with, but it's been a very productive year, and we're going to end our year with a special experience right here on campus.
That's right. We call that PalCon.
PalCon.
Pastors and Leaders Conference. And it's a part of the Church of the Nazarene quadrennial. Is that the right way of saying that? I think it's every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
That this occurs. And it occurs on campus this year in the summer. June 3rd through the 5th. Okay. And so while it's originally designed for pastors and leaders within the Church of the Nazarene, it's not exclusively for Nazarene people. In fact, we're doing something with it this year that's really unique that I don't know anything like this has ever been done with a PalCon. And that is the Center for Faith and Family is sponsoring one of the general sessions. And then on Thursday and Friday, we are having a track of workshops that the center is sponsoring. So you and I will each lead a workshop on our own, and then we will also do one together. Yep. And then our Friday workshop series is going to be with Arlene Pelicane.
That's right. Our good friend Arlene is coming back.
Yeah, so we're bringing her in for this. And so, wow, what a great opportunity for those who are listening, especially if you're in the area, to be a part of that. It's June 3rd through 5th. You can find all the information on our website, centerff.com.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. That'll be a great way to end our academic year, so to speak, and look forward to what's to come next year.
Yeah. And if you're a parent on social media, you may have seen some PalCon advertising on our social media.
Yeah, that's right. We're really focusing on that. So we'd love to have anyone and everyone come and join us. And let's not forget, Leon, that at PalCon, we're going to have an experience for not only leaders in local churches, but for parents and kids too. We're going to be offering a special prayer experience called the Playground right here on campus with prayer stations that families can do together.
Yeah. And so the idea here is to experience those here on campus and then take that concept home with them and continue doing some of those things in your home. And again, PalCon, while it's for leaders and pastors and things, the way we're doing our tracks, it's really for parents. Right. So if you're a parent and you're thinking, well, I'm not a necessarily a leader in my church and I'm not a pastor, this isn't for me. Yeah, please don't hear that. This is definitely for you.
Yes, come and join us. We would love to have you. So, Leon, that leaves me with just one more question for us as we wrap up this episode. What is one thing you want to remember from this season on the Faith Together podcast?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot because I wasn't prepared for that question. One thing I want to remember, I think it goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the series that was most significant to me, and recognizing that faith is communicated best in everyday life, in the simple, mundane routines of life. That is where our kids learn faith, and they learn it mostly by watching us. And so we've talked on the podcast before about the difference between informal learning and formal learning. Formal learning being sit down, listen, let me tell you what you need to know kind of thing, which we tend to do a little bit at church. Informal is just kind of as we're living life. Right. And when we look at the model that Jesus set for us, most of what he did happened in the informal moments. It wasn't him preaching in the temple, although he did that. It wasn't him having people sit down on the fields as he taught the 5,000, although he did that. Most of what he did was as life was being lived. I would love to have been a fly listening in on those conversations as they walked down the road, as they just lived ordinary life around the campfire at night, all the things that just took place as life was being lived. And so I think there's lots for us to learn from that. And I think that's what I want parents to remember the most of what we've done this year is I don't have to do special things. I just need to live out my faith.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think I would add to that I this year want to remember to be intentional about those I invite into my life to do this everyday faith work together. I think as we've discussed with different guests and different friends of the podcast, there's so much to learn from each person's different perspective. And I think I want to remember all those things you mentioned first and foremost, and then to remember that we're not in it alone. That we're to lean on one another, ask each other how we can support each other, try things, see what works, see what doesn't, but to bring people into our circles that we can trust and that are committed to this as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well said.
That is this season on Faith Together. We couldn't be more thankful for you as our listeners joining us each and every week. And we hope that if certain episodes resonated with you, that you would listen again, share them with your friends. And we look forward to being back in the fall.
Yes. And as you come to an end of your school year and get ready to look toward the summer, we would like to pray a blessing over you as you begin that journey. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May he turn his face toward you and give you shalom. Amen.